Hey mathematicians, what's going on? It's Mathefanatic here. We're going to do some speed constructions. I've got some slower construction videos that are on my channel at YouTube, so you can go through each one of those individually if you like. But this one's just going to be speed constructions, and I'm going to do it all by hand, so perhaps you'll like this one better. The first thing that we need to do is figure out what our technique's going to be with holding the compass. You need to be holding it by the needle side, not by the pencil side, by the needle side. And I like these ones with the little wheel here to change the size, not the ones that you can pull open and push closed. Those are very unstable. So anyone that's controlled by a wheel, they get very precise. So when you hold it by the needle side, you push down the needle, and then you can then use your wrist or thumb and finger to make your arcs. You could also move the paper itself. So that's the best technique for using a compass. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to copy the segment below. And we need to make sure that it's labeled appropriately. The first thing you need to do to copy this segment is to create a longer segment or array. And so I'm going to have this point be my copy of y, so therefore I label it y prime. And then I need to measure the distance from y to z. There we go. And then I can come over here, put that on y prime, strike an arc. So here's my arc through that line segment, and that intersection I label as z prime, and I copy the segment so they're both congruent, so you should include hash marks for congruency. The next one is going to be copying an angle here. So the first thing I need to do is to copy one of the sides. So I'm going to copy this side here, and it doesn't have to be in the same orientation, but I'm just going to copy that side. And if this were the vertex v, this would be v prime, so it's going to be my copied vertex, just so you know where it's going. So then the first thing you need to do then is to take your compass, you open it a distance that you know will strike both sides of the angle. So something like this would work. So I have my needle on V, and then I strike both sides of the angle, then I come over here and I make a similar swipe so that it strikes, goes through the side that I created over here. So I make sure that it's long enough that when I draw this side, I know it's going to go through. Second thing I do is measure from intersection to intersection. It's always from intersection to intersection when you're copying an angle. So I put my needle on one intersection, I open my compass to the other, and just to make sure that I hit it, I'm going to strike a small arc. Now you see where this arc and this arc intersect is where the side is going through, so I come over here. The copy of this intersection is right here. So then I come up here and I strike an arc. And now you can see that this intersection is going to be the same as this one over here, so I can use my straight edge and draw the copied side. So what I have to do is put my pencil down on the point first, put the straight edge up against it, that way I only have to worry about one side. And there we go. So because it's a copied angle, I need little arc marks to show that they're congruent. It does say label the figure according to the relationships. That's the relationship that's created. On the other side, we have bisect a segment. This one goes pretty quickly. You just want to have your compass that's open larger than halfway. So here I know that it's longer than past the halfway point, wherever that's going to be. And then you just need to strike an arc like this, above and below the line. And if you're good, you can just strike one up here above and then one over here below. But you can do it in a giant arc if you want. And then I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So you see this football looking thing, and then you just connect the two intersections. And it says label the figure according to the relationships. I've got a right angle because it's perpendicular, and then these two segments that are created are congruent, so I put my hash marks there as well. Then I need to bisect an angle. So bisecting an angle also goes fairly quickly. I need to open my compass so that it'll go through both of the sides. So I strike it so that the arc goes through both of the sides of the angle, and then I can just pick my compass up, and I can try to do this. Usually with most acute angles you can use the same setting. With obtuse angles sometimes it gets a little tough. You go to one intersection, strike an arc, go to the other intersection, strike another arc, and it's important that for these two arcs, these last two, that your compass has to be on the same setting. So I did that, and it just so happens that all of them connect there at that one point, although they won't always. Sometimes the intersection will be further out, maybe even a little bit closer inward, but not always on that first arc, so don't think that it has to be. But since mine is, I just put my, now I just need to draw my bisector. Pencil goes on the vertex through that intersection of these two arcs, the last two that you drew, not necessarily this one, but the last two. And I bisected the angle, so I created two congruent angles. They each get arc marks. And then the last one is to construct a perpendicular from a given point to a given line. So you take your compass and you put the needle on the point, and you open the compass so that it comes just past the line. I give myself a little leeway, and you draw a little smiley, something like that. And two intersections are created when you do that, and you just need to bisect the segment that is created from those intersections, because technically from one point to another point is a segment, right? You can have segments within segments. And so we just bisected a segment a little while ago. You want to make sure you open it past halfway. That's about past halfway. And you do your little football construction. Like that. So now I've bisected that segment, and that intersection, and the point should all line up on a line. They should all be collinear. And it looks like they are. And then this one also says to label the figure according to the relationships. And all that happened here was we constructed a perpendicular. It's right there. We constructed a perpendicular, so I need a right angle there. No segments are necessarily congruent at this point. All right, those were speed constructions. I hope it didn't go too fast or too slow for some of you. If you need to ask any questions, you can leave them down below. Mathefanatic, deuces.